Alright guys, so thank you very much for watching. Today I have an iPhone under the microscope that has some issues with the CPU. So we're going to do some work on it. We're going to go ahead and desolder it. We're going to make sure we do a good cleaning on the logic board. We're going to reball it and then we're going to place it back on the logic board. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have down here. So first of all, let's talk about the CPU. I mean, we understand that the iPhone 13 just came to the market, right? Everybody on social media is talking about the iPhone 13, right? iPhone 13, it comes with different things, but the most important thing that comes with is the CPU. The CPU is a lot stronger than any other CPU on any logic board that has ever been created by Apple. It's about 30 and 40% more stronger and faster. You know what I'm saying? It's even if you take a look at the physical CPU on the logic board on that iPhone 13 is a lot bigger as well. So today I'm talking about this because this CPU needs to be fixed, right? And remember, CPU is the most important component on the logic board. So if there's something wrong with it, if there is a path under the CPU that's not making connection, there's going to be something that will be behaving wrong on your phone. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have with this iPhone, and let's see what happened. All right. So thank you very much for watching, and let's take a look. All right. So let's go ahead and start this process. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and start cleaning everything around the CPU. So we need to make sure we do a good job by cleaning everything, but we have to make sure also that we don't mess with those little components. Sometimes when we see those little components, we're like, nah, they're not important, but guess what? Some of them are used to communicate between the CPU and any other IC. So those are really, really important. So if you're cleaning, you have to make sure you don't mess with those, and if you remove some of those, make sure that at the end you place them back. All right, like me, I'm actually removing some of those off so I can go ahead and use my tool and lift that CPU. So I'm gonna lift it and I'm gonna apply some flux around the CPU, right? And then after we lift it, then I'm gonna go ahead and apply some more flux again and some paste, because I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning under the CPU as well. All right, so we have to be patient. We have to be careful with all this process, because remember, we are messing with the brain of your iPhone. All right, so this is a really, really important component on your logic board. Remember that without a brain, you ain't gonna be able to do anything. All right, so we again clean. All right, we apply a little bit of flux and some paste again. All right, we keep cleaning. We try to make it look good, right? Now, let's see what we have after all this. Make sure we are always focus, and if there's any other distraction around you, stop it, because all your time and your dedication has to be on this board. Again, we're cleaning. We try to scratch the logic board with this tool, but whenever we scratch, we gotta be careful we don't mess with none of the pads, because those pads are for communication, for power, for grounding. All right, so make sure you do it right. Now it's time for us to place this CPU on one of our spatial holders, and we have this other little machine that's a preheater. It's gonna help us cleaning that CPU again before we start doing the reballing. And then we're gonna go ahead and solder it back to the logic board. So we keep cleaning. All right, while we scratch, we apply some heat. But like I said, we have to be careful so that way we don't lose none of those paths that are very important. Some of those are for communication. Well, most of those are for communication. All right, so if you have a problem with the Bluetooth or with the Wi-Fi or something, it's probably because one of these pads didn't make a good connection on the logic board. It's just an example, of course, right? But no, we're doing a great job. We're making sure all those pads are going to be well connected. We cleaned that very well again, and we clean our station. Right, we got to make sure we have a clean place, right? So we put it on this reballing tool. We apply some of the soldering paste. Make sure we fill every single hole on this mold. And then we apply some heat again. We're trying to rebuild those balls. All right, looks pretty good to me. Look at this, great job. We apply more flux. Look at all this, great job. I'm in love with this CPU. All right, there's a little damage right here, but don't worry, we're gonna go ahead and fix it. We apply some of this green mask. We're gonna try to cure it as well. Curing time takes around 30-40 seconds the most. You'll see all this quick because we're doing it in a speed mode. All right, so after we did all this work, right, we pretty much desoldered all the CPU from the logic board. Then we cleaned the whole thing. Right now we have the CPU out, which is this, and it's time for us to solder it back to the logic board, right? As I was talking about iPhone 13, iPhone 13 comes with a pretty strong CPU, which is the A15. Now it's time for us to solder it back to the logic board, and with this, we're gonna call the job 100% done. So let's go ahead and take a look at the microscope and see what else we can do, all right? So we have the logic board, right, ready. Now it's time for us to solder it back. So I have the CPU and the logic board. Now we're gonna go ahead and place it back to where it's supposed to be. You're gonna apply some heat, a little bit of flux around the areas that we cleaned. Then we place this baby back to its original. We call it done. Alright, so this is how we place it back on the logic board. So this is 100% complete, and I hope you have an excellent weekend, and thank you very much for watching. Alright, so take care, guys.